Alright guys, so today I'm going to be showing you two separate builds for Gley. Gley's a very solid Descendant and somebody that can do all types of content, from low level medial mobbing all the way up to Void Erosion Purge and even bossing. So in this guide I want to focus on her mobbing build and I want to focus on her Purge build. But having said that guys, let's go ahead and hop into the video. So out of the two builds that we're going to look at, the Explosive Life is the first build we're going to look at, and we're going to go ahead and start looking at the weapons that we use on this build. The first gun we're going to be looking at is purely a stat stick. All you're going to be using the Peacemaker for is running. If you have a different gun that you like to use for sprinting, feel free to use it, but I prefer the Peacemaker just because it has high move and sprint speed. So on this weapon, the main thing we're going to do is slap on 3 sprint cores. Everything else does not matter. You can do whatever you want with this weapon or you can do nothing with it. And the gun I like to use for that is actually my Malevolent. If you've seen any of my build guides that have Malevolent, you're going to know the build that we're going to be looking at here, as it's the same build I take into Purge. So for the cores on this weapon, we're going to go ahead and have 2 chill attack, 1 firearm attack, and 2 fire rate. For the roll down bottom, we're going to go ahead and go with 1 chill attack, 1 firearm attack, 1 bonus firearm damage versus Legion of Darkness, and we're going to go ahead and have multi-hit chance on here. Multi-hit chance is not really going to benefit you that much on this Gley build, but we do use this weapon on Serena for our non-fly builds. And as we're unable to get multiple builds for this gun, I don't really see a reason to roll it off because we're only utilizing this gun to get her build up and running. So when it comes to the mods on the weapon, this is what we're looking at. Remember that this gun is actually built out mainly for Serena and our non-flying build, but it does function well enough to get our Gley build up and running and off of the ground. So with all of that said, these are actually the mods that are on it. We do have 2 mag mods on here. We do have some chill attack. We do have some multi-hit on here. We have some fire rate and we have some base weapon damage. The final weapon we're going to showcase on this build is actually our last dagger, and this is our boss burning gun. For the cores on this, we're going to go ahead and go with 1 firearm critical hit damage, 2 firearm attack, 1 fire rate, and 1 rounds per mag. For the roll down bottom, we're going to go ahead and go with firearm critical hit damage, firearm attack, weak point damage, and bonus damage to Colossus. While the bonus firearm attack to Colossus isn't going to net you much outside of Colossus fights, we do like to keep this gun rolled out this way because we put it on a lot of Descendants and we use it in a lot of different content. Having said all that, feel free to roll that off for anything that you think is going to add to your play style and make this gun do better for you in the content you're playing. When it comes to the mods on the weapon, this is what we're looking at. We add a lot to the weapon's base damage, we add a lot to the weapon's critical hit damage, we add a lot to the weak point, and we add some fire rate. The last couple things we look at on here is adding Firing Fiesta to give us nice burst windows, adding chill enhancement, which can be replaced with any element depending on the content you're playing, and then we finish it off with UPS or ultra precision shot. If you find that you're having a hard time hitting weak points, don't worry about it. You can always take this mod off and just add some additional element damage. When it comes to the reactor, this is what we're going to be looking at. We are going to go ahead and put on a dimensional reactor, and we're going to make sure that we hit the optimized condition. When it comes to the roll down bottom, I personally like non-at skill power boost and dimensional skill power boost. Both of these are going to do a great job to really push your damage numbers up and let you show off when you're using Gley. When it comes to her components, definitely go ahead and slap on the mage set. This is going to get you just a ton of additional bonus damage. After the changes to the set, it's really hard not to put this set on most of our non-attribute Descendants when they're using skills to do their damage. When it comes to the cores on here, just slap on HP and defense. Both of those are going to help with survivability and make your Gley feel that much better when you get out there and you start running through the maps. When it comes to her inversion reinforcement, we are going to do some things a little bit different than we normally do. Gley doesn't need MP, so we're going to completely ignore that on here, and she doesn't really need cooldown, so we're going to ignore that. So with all that out of the way, the main things we're going to look at here is going to be Adrenaline Rush, Ammo Synth, and Biodensity Augmentation. Ammo Synth isn't one that we use frequently, so I'm going to go ahead and let you know what this does. When you land firearm critical hits, it will increase your reload speed, and this is just going to make things better when it comes to the final burnout on the boss when you have your last dagger in your hand. For our RK tuning tree, this is the board that we're going with. We decided to go with a really heavy skill power tree, and we wanted to make sure we got non-at cohesion. Now there are some other boards we could run, and one of them would involve us running up to the left for defense neutralization. However, with Gley, you're probably going to kill everything in one shot, so adding all of that additional armor strip really isn't helping you out much. And if you don't kill everything in one shot, your second attack is going to do it whether you have that on there or not. So I just wanted to front load our attacks with damage, and this is just going to make the build feel that much snappier and help to ensure we're getting a lot of one shots when we're running through the map. So for our dog, we're going to go ahead and use the Hagios Sheepdog. I know that our Explosive Life build actually does more damage the lower our HP is, but we're going to be moving through the map so fast that it's not going to matter, and we're always going to keep our health topped up because we're just going to be picking up health on the move. So putting this dog on is just going to ensure that we are staying topped up and is going to make it to where we can survive in some of these maps a little bit easier. So for our build, this is what we're going to be looking at. We're doing a lot here to really ratchet up our damage, increase our range, and get our cooldowns down as low as possible. Now, I'm not going to go through the math, but this build does do a lot and has been one of the most damaging builds I've been able to find when I'm running this build on Gley. You will want to make sure that you have multi-talented on here, as her explosive life is a dimensional skill. We're really utilizing this mod to get our cooldowns down as low as we can. While we're not actually hitting a 90% reduction, we are very, very close to it, so make sure you don't swap this mod out or forget to put this on for this build. So now I'm going to teach you how to use this build. This build is actually a very easy build to use, but it does require a little bit of setup, and that setup can be kind of hard to do depending on how many people in your team and how fast they're killing. Go ahead and leave your peacemaker on when the map starts and start running to where you know the enemies spawn. When you get close to the enemies, go ahead and swap out to your malevolent or restored relic or any weapon that you want to use to do damage with. Pop off some shots and look for the red orbs to spawn on the ground. Switch back to your peacemaker so you're not moving super slow and run up and grab a couple of these orbs. Once you have a few of these orbs, go ahead and turn your frenzy on. Now you can start spamming your 2. And what that's going to do is it's going to make all of the other red orbs on the ground explode, and anything that's around them is going to take an insane amount of spike damage. When things die, they're going to put more red orbs on the ground, and you're going to be able to explode even more. Now with the gameplay here in the background, you can see this really starts to stack up, and you can hit enemies from an insane distance. So at this point, just continue to traverse through the map and explode all the red orbs you see. So if you're not playing with a team, every time you move to a new area, you will have to pull out your gun and you will have to kill a couple enemies to get the red orbs on the ground. Once the orbs are on the ground, you can start popping them again with your number 2. If you are playing with a team, don't worry about it and just let them run into the room first. Once they get a couple kills, start popping off your 2 and you'll be able to keep the room permanently dead. Either way, whether you're with the team or by yourself, just rinse and repeat until you get to the boss. When it comes to the boss fight, go ahead and pull out your last dagger and do not forget that you have unlimited ammo. Between your last dagger and your unlimited ammo, you should be able to burn these bosses out relatively quickly. So now that we've looked at the skill mobbing build, we're going to go ahead and look at the unlimited ammo build as well. There are going to be a few tweaks from one build to the other, and I'm going to cover them now. The first difference I want to look at is actually the weapon. For this build, we're going to be using the restored relic. So for the cores, you're going to want to go ahead and have 3 fire rate cores. Outside of that, for the elemental cores, it's going to depend on the content you're doing, but since we're going to use this in something like Purge, we're going to go ahead and put chill on it. For the rolls down bottom, we're going to go ahead and go with chill attack, explosive attack, multi-hit chance, and multi-hit damage. So for the mods on this weapon, we're going to build really heavily into the weapon's base attack, and we're going to build really heavily into multi-hit. We're going to round this off with some fire rate and some explosive radius size. The last 2 mods we're going to look at here are going to be the elemental mods. You're going to want to put the element mods on here for the type of content you're going up against. In our case, it's going to be Purge, so that's why we've got chill enhancement on here. So we are going to make a really quick change to the reactor here. It doesn't really matter what type of reactor this is or if you have the optimized conditions. The important thing here is the roll down bottom. You're going to want to make sure you have a max duration and a max cooldown. Again, other than that, it doesn't matter what type of reactor you put on. For the components here, we're going to put on a 2-piece shell crusher and a 2-piece firebrand. We really want that fire rate up and we want that duration. When it comes to the cores on here, just put defense and HP because it's going to give you a little bit more survivability. So for the inversion reinforcement, I do like adrenaline rush and biodensity augmentation. For the last slot, just slot in the type of rounds that you're using when it comes to the type of content you're doing. In our case, we're going to go ahead and put chill focus rounds in there. So when it comes to our arcade tuning, the 2 things we're going to prioritize here are going to be getting that firearm damage up and getting that multi-hit chance and rate up. Outside of that, we are going to get a little bit of weak point, a little bit of critical hit, and a little bit of affinity up, and those things are mainly going to help with something like your last dagger when you switch out to use that for some of your burnouts. So when it comes to the mods, this is what we're looking at for our unlimited ammo. The main thing we're going to want to do here is make sure we have 100% uptime on our 3. Outside of that, everything we're doing is just quality of life. We're trying to increase our HP and we're trying to increase our weapon damage. To increase our weapon damage, we are going to be using shot focus and walk a tightrope here, but we do have a red mod on. The main reason we have this red mod on is because it is going to allow us to do self damage to Gley. And doing self damage is going to allow us to get our HP below that 50% threshold, where we can do a bunch of bonus damage. So while we're talking about the unlimited ammo Gley, I do want to address another mod, and that's going to be Predator Instinct. This is a mod that a lot of people have started to use here recently. This mod does lower your damage in the front end, but it raises it in the back end. So to get everything you need out of this mod, you really want to make sure you're using it in content where you're holding the trigger down on something like your restored relic and you're not feathering it. The main place you're going to use this is going to be something like Void Erosion Purge, where you have beefy enemies and it's going to take a few seconds to actually kill them. So the ways I would actually change this build is I would go ahead and put in Predator Instinct, and then I would put conditional recharge in instead of shot focus. Shot focus isn't going to net you anything because it's more for firearms and not for explosive weapons. This is going to allow you to lower your HP and try to take advantage of walk a tightrope. I did want to put this in because I know people are going to ask about it, so I wanted to put it in at the end of the build, just in case people are screenshotting and dipping. That way they don't see that this is what you need to do for something like Predator Instinct. So this build is actually quite easy to use. When we start the map, we're going to go ahead and pop our 1. That's going to give us Frenzy, and that's going to allow us to do additional damage. When we're traversing, we're going to go ahead and utilize our 2. That 2 is going to allow us to do damage to ourselves and try to get us below that 50% threshold. So just keep in mind, anytime you're traversing through areas and there's nothing to shoot at, you're going to want to utilize your 2 if you're above 50% HP. When you come up to packs of enemies, just go ahead and pop your 3 and hold down your trigger. If for whatever reason that pack of enemies isn't dead, feel free to repop your unlimited ammo and just keep shooting. After you clear them, it is basically a rinse and repeat throughout the whole map. Manage your HP and try to keep it below 50%, and utilize your unlimited ammo to mow down packs of enemies. When you get to the final boss, just swap out to your last dagger, pop your unlimited ammo, and lay waste to the enemy. When the enemy goes between phases, if there are additional adds or a bunch of orbs or something like that to shoot, feel free to swap out to your restored relic to knock all those out quickly, and then go right back to your last dagger and finish your burnouts. Alright guys, and that's it. That's everything you need to know to play Gley. I wanted to make sure that I got 2 different builds out this time because I do know that the unlimited ammo is really starting to make its way back into the meta, and I wanted to give you guys a great unlimited ammo build, plus I wanted to give you guys a really great skill build for her to go out and mob with. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the builds and enjoyed the content. If you did, consider liking and subscribing for more First Descendant content as well as other game coverage in the future. And if you want to get to know me and the community a little bit more, consider coming over and watching us live on Twitch. We do stream 5 days a week, and I would absolutely love to have you guys over there. But having said all that guys, thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.